expressed on the Powerhouse radio station are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers. The show, found on the Powerhouse radio station, can promote any lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or conditions. Opinions stated by various contributors to the Powerhouse Radio and its programming are not to be considered as endorsed by the Powerhouse Radio station. Visitors are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusion. We emphasize the importance of keeping an open mind.
The Hinkson Firm Studio
To
provides
adjust.
superior legal service in the areas of family law, child welfare law, general legal services, and mediation by keeping convenience of the clients at the forefront. The Hinkson Firm's goal is to eliminate the stress of an already intense situation in your life by coming directly to your workplace and or a location close to your home for consultation, meetings, and mediation. The Hinkson firm customized legal attention based on the needs of each client while treating every client with the dignity and respect they deserve, while fighting strongly and fiercely for justice and their legal rights. The Hinkson firm can be reached at 470-499-4704.
Greetings, greetings. Welcome to the I Am Meta Show. I am Zephra, the Medicure Data. Joining me today, our guest is life coach Vilma. I hope everyone can hear me. So I'm doing a mic check. Can everyone hear me? Vilma, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Then you need to adjust your mic. All right. So, welcome to the I Am Meta Show, you all. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for, rejoining us when we returned after our little break. So, I hope you continue to watch every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard and at 3 p.m. Pacific Time because we always have a lot of information to share. And of course, I Am Meta is all about health and wellness, spirit, mind, and body. So let us do this. Let us go ahead and get into our show today. And also, I want to say thank you. Always thank you. Big up yourself, Powerhouse Radio. Big up yourself, Lady D. Thank you for this opportunity. And for our viewers, please engage in conversations, ask us questions, leave a comment. We'll answer it. It'll roll across the screen because we are streamed on YouTube, IG, and Facebook. And for listeners who call into that 667 number, of course, you will be hearing us. All right. So big up yourself. Big up yourself. Today's topic, of course, we started on domestic violence last week and living in contention. And this week, we are going to still touch on a little bit of domestic violence. And also, we'll be speaking about guilt and shame today. Life coach Vilma has joined us because, from life experiences and helping others, especially, we have encountered so many different situations on how we were able to get through things and how we're able to help others to get through it as well. Everything don't work for everyone, but choose something that works for you. We give so many options, okay? So first I would like to say for those who viewed the show last week, I'm very dramatic when I'm trying to tell a story and I'm very expressive about it. So I did mention that I was in a domestic situation. I was young. I was in my late teens. And when I walk away from that situation, people think walking away, it's over, but really it's not. That's just the first step. The next step is you have to now, instead of just removing yourself out of a toxic situation, you now have to remove the toxicity out of yourself. We have to get into ourselves and kind of clear all that energy, everything that has accumulated. And sometimes our feelings about things may not start in a domestic situation. It's something that really attracted us to it. it's just being angry. You may have seen men and women being abused over some years, maybe from very young age, and you may have built an anger for it, a resentment, and you kind of made
Mhm.
a vow to yourself that you're not going to stand by anymore and watch this. You're going to help to defend those who are helpless and can't defend themselves, or speak for the voiceless and things of that nature. So once I was able to walk away from the situation, I didn't stop there. I knew I had to do some things inside, get some things cleared out, because I certainly didn't want to take this anger into my future. Now, when we're speaking about anger accumulating, see, you will know if you're a happy person, you will know when you're not in alignment. I was a happy baby, happy toddler, happy child, happy teenager, a happy young lady, pretty much. I'm a happy woman, right? So at that point in my life, when I noticed that I didn't feel that happiness inside, I knew right away. One thing I always did, I always had counsel with the elders. I always had access to them. So I started to go and sit with them and explain my situation. And they started to counsel me on how I can, some options on some things that I can do, because I was young and I would say inexperienced. And I say that because when you're living with someone for the first time and you've never done that before and you're still young, you're kind of inexperienced, especially if that person has more age over you and they're like already young adults, already over 22, 23, and things of that nature. So they're probably been on their own for a moment. But when you seek counsel with the wise, and make sure you keep them around, make sure you always have someone to speak with. And one very valid thing I want to say, don't be ashamed to talk about it. Don't be ashamed to admit that you're experiencing something, because, there are people out here who can actually help you and help to guide you. And that's what I got. I got that guidance. And I started to work my way to leave the state that I was in, and that was accomplished. And when I got to where I was going, I knew, I had this newfounded freedom again. I was like, whew, I feel free now. I can really mold my life in a way that's peaceful, right? And don't think that we experience everything over all these years and it's just going to disappear in a day, a week, a month, or a year. Sometimes some layers take a year at a time to even peel back and clear out. So be patient with yourself. Show yourself a lot of self compassion as you're looking into your past. Okay. Show yourself some self compassion so you can deal with it, so that you can accept that you played a part. Many women don't leave because they're scared. They're very fearful of what may happen or what this person may do to them. And even men, they don't leave because they are really scared of what is going to occur if they attempted something like that, or try to do something like that, or actually do something like that. Right. So in my situation, I stayed not because I was afraid. I stayed because I wasn't afraid. I stayed because I felt like I wanted to teach this person a lesson. Hey, you think you're going to be hitting on women? I wanted to teach them a lesson that, hey, they're women. Somebody's going to fight back and somebody's going to teach you a lesson. Not really realizing how damaging it was to me. See, I may want to get at someone, but if you're in the situation and it's toxic and it's violent, you're also harming yourself. You're endangering yourself. It doesn't matter if you're big bold chair or not. So once I had an opportunity to leave, what I decided to do is plug myself into organizations. That's when I first got started with helping women deal who were in domestic violence situation. I started to volunteer in organization, helping them out, just whatever we had to do. I started to plug myself into different forms of benevolence, because now I wanted to take this energy, this fire, this fight, this all of that. I wanted to take it and channel it into something positive, more progressive, something that's going to help someone. So all that fight I had in me, I turned it and I started to join forces with those who are fighting for human rights. I joined forces with those who are fighting for civil rights. I joined forces for those who are fighting for basic rights. you know so I felt my fight will be better served on a platform where I can actually help someone, right? And not remaining in a situation because I wanted to teach someone a lesson. It was the dumbest thing I've ever thought of, but I didn't realize how dumb it was until I got to the point of awareness about it. So when you see you leave a situation, if you are fortunate to do so in a timely manner, especially before it really takes you out, I really feel work on those energies, work on getting it out. Don't just jump into the arm of someone who's talking sweet nothings, especially people when they're separated. They like to, when they're having a conversation with someone, they be like, I was in a very terrible situation. They talk about the relationship that this person already is billing an angle of how they're going to get you or how they're going to manipulate you probably into a relationship, right? But also, on the other hand, we're not going to attract someone who's real positive until we really start to feel that positivity within ourselves. All right. So we have to get rid of a lot of things inside, clear it out. And I'm telling you,
Yes.
a lot of people out here have a lot of insecurities. Just pay attention, get to know people, pay attention to red flags. If someone started raising their voice and yelling at you and arguing, and you're really not even living together yet, red flags. Red flags. Just pay attention. Take your time. Have them take their time. Tell them you're not rushing. Pay attention to their their ammos, their angles, so that you don't end up in the same situation again. Because there are so many women, especially domestic violence and men. There are so many individuals who return into the same situations over and over again. And I truly believe it's because they did not take that moment to clear those energies out. If you still have toxicity inside of you, you're going to attract it in someone else. Yeah, they're going to come like a sweeping you off your feet. It could be a handsome prince. Your illusion appears, see this person that way. Or, a man may see this beautiful woman. Get to know people before you go moving in. And especially for you young adults who are in your late teens, if you're going to leave your parents' home, I'm speaking to young men and young women. If you're going to leave your parents' home or your guardian's home, make sure you have a way to take care of yourself. And I'm not speaking about some minimum wage job that you don't even have 40 hours a week on, but you're making a certain amount of money a week. Don't think that month, that money you make, you can't look at that and say, "Well, I can get an apartment because I make that much." Well, you still have utilities to pay. If you're on public transportation, you still have to find your way back and forth. If you have a vehicle, you got monthly car insurance. You talk about gas, maintenance. You really have to look into a budget. And another thing, a lot of times we may not learn at an early age is financial stability and budgeting and how, investment and those things. So sometimes we don't really know how to budget and we go into these situations and we find ourselves dragging and struggling. Now, we come out the house, we don't want to go back home because we don't want to look like we failed at anything. So what happens? We end up shacking up with somebody. And there it goes all over. And it don't matter what's going on, we may not really tell the whole story, but I want to say this. Don't allow anyone to separate you from your family, from your friends. You make sure you maintain your open discussions with them. Be honest with them. If something's going on, sit and speak with someone who can help you. Not someone who's going to tell you, "Oh, girl, just hang in there. We all been there, been through it." I don't want to go through it. And don't tell me to hang in there because it's not healthy, right? So, what I would like to say is today we're going to speak a little bit more about that. We're going to speak about how people feel, why they stay, why they go, after they go, what's going on with the field, why they go back. It's the whole shebang. So, today, life coach Vilma once again is joining us. She was here a couple of weeks ago when we were speaking about coping and healing after traumas and loss, right? So, she is joining us here today to discuss on these particular matters and topics because she's well experienced in speaking with others and knowing their situation as well. So, Vilma, welcome to I Am Meta. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Z Sharifa. Thank you so much, girl. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Also, this is such a profound topic that you're talking about because many of us as Black women have experienced some sort of abuse, domestic abuse, physical, mental, financial, because sometimes when we're not with it, when we don't have our own resources, we attract the type of people that will, as you say, you know, exhibit this kind of behavior and push it on us. And we have no way of getting ourselves together, because the stronger the abuse, the harder it is for us to get to where we need to be. Now, that emotional abuse is a big one, right? Because someone gets into your head and and trample you down to nothing and make you think that you're nobody, you're nothing. And when that sinks in deep, it's harder to get away from that type of abuse than it is to get away from a physical abuse. That mental abuse is one that can last with you for many moons, to say.
Mhm.
So a lot of times young people especially don't even know that they're being manipulated and they're being mentally abused, so they stick with it and think that they lose self-esteem, they lose themselves, and it's so hard to get back to the person that you really think that you want to be. Now, a lot of time you have to get counseling, or you have to, like you say, seek advice from elders. The thing about emotional abuse is that you're being swept away from the people who really love you, and you don't even realize it. Because that person will make you think that nobody else wants you in their lives, not even your family. And that emotional abuse, they tell you every day that you're nobody, you won't be anything. You, especially if you have children and you feel that this is all that you can do, you stay in that situation for a very long time. Domestic abuse is similar, but at least one at a time you may get up and run and flee,
Yeah.
because you're feeling the pain that's been inflicted on you.
Yes.
So it's one of those abuse that people tend to get away from easier than being emotionally abused,
Yes.
because you have to identify that you're being emotionally abused before you can get away from it. Now, the shame that comes from being abused is uh, the shame that comes from being abused is what keeps us in it longer, because we don't want anyone to know that we're going through this,
Yeah.
and we keep it secret for a very long time. So because we're being ashamed of this, and the shame is also a negative emotion. We might not realize that, but shame and
Yes.
guilt are
Yeah.
negative emotions, and shame, guilt, anger, all
Yes.
negative emotion. And until we can release them, we're gonna find ourselves staying in those emotions for a very long time.
Man. Yeah.
Now, in order to release shame and guilt, we have to release the anger first. And if you don't release the anger, then the shame will not go away. And if you don't release the shame, then the guilt will not go away.
Oh wait, that's right.
And if you
That's right.
you can't just stop these emotions, just stop them. You have to release them.
Right.
And in order to release them, you have to replace them with some positive thoughts and
Yes.
positive emotions. So this is why it's important to talk to other people who can feed you and fuel your positive energy. And once
That's
you
right.
start fueling your positive energy, then you'll start to see different ways in which you can do it. Now, a lot of us can't do this alone. But
Right.
like I said before, Z, that as us Black women, we don't seek help.
Mhm.
We might talk to our friends, and sometimes the best advice don't come from friends of ours,
Right.
right? But we don't seek help. We don't seek professional help when we're
Yeah.
in these situations, you know. And there are tons of counselors, coaches, mentors who are willing to help people. But we're so, as I'm gonna say Black people, because I'm a Black woman. As Black people, we think that we can do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
This pride that we have about us, we
Yes.
don't want anybody to know our business,
Yeah.
you know. So we
Yeah.
stay in it and we suffer, But the best way you can get out of this situation is to talk to someone. Because if we knew how to do it, we wouldn't have been in it, or we would not stay in it for so long.
Long. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we stay in it
You
because we
know,
don't know what to do about it.
well, let me ask you, Vilma, how about women who are in a relationship and have children? You know,
Now, go
that
ahead.
becomes more difficult because now you have children in tow.
You have children and you have to think about them first. And especially if you're not in a good financial situation, what do I do? You put the children first, I know. And but what we don't realize is this, that some women say, well, I don't want my kids to grow without their dad. I've known women who say that,
I do. I
right?
still know women who say that.
I don't want my kids to grow without their dad. I don't want, but what we're doing, we're damaging our children because they see the dysfunction
Yes.
that we are experiencing, and they in turn are experiencing dysfunction. And think of what that will do to them as when they turn into adults.
Right.
You see, they
Yeah.
replicate this behavior. And because I saw it personally. I saw my
Hmm.
mother being beaten many, many times by my dad.
Hmm.
And I love my dad to death, but that never left my mind.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was so scared of anyone who tries to use force on me, like, hover over me, or
Yeah.
if you talk to me in a certain way, I
Yeah.
shrink. And that's because I saw my mother experience that as a child.
Yeah.
I would see my dad beat my mom for the simplest little thing.
Yeah.
And there I am as a little child looking at this and experiencing all that. And I was very angry with my dad for a long, long time,
Yeah.
you know. And because of that, I noticed I don't have tolerance. I don't have too much tolerance with men.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's because of the behavior that I witnessed as a child,
Child. Yes.
you know. And maybe I could have been a better wife, when it comes to, or a better partner. But I think I still have that anger in me,
Yeah.
from what I experienced with. I don't give men a chance to,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it cuts the patience level and the tolerance level that I have with men very short.
Yeah.
And many times I tell myself I'd rather be alone. So I'd rather
Yeah.
be alone than experience all that sort of behavior. Once you come at me with certain ways, I'm done.
Yeah, it's like, there go look, there goes those red, like one red
The
flag
red
going out
flags,
of
yeah,
there.
those red flags, yes. And a
The
lot of
very
times women
first one
don't
is like,
listen.
see ya.
They don't listen to their intuition. They
Hmm.
know what they're getting into is not right,
Yeah.
or not right for them, but they don't listen to their intuition, and they figure that the little sparkle that flies in front of them and all that stuff, they go for it, but they know deep down that it's not good. It's not a
Yeah.
good situation they're getting into.
So, yeah.
And like you say, if they don't release all that, then they keep attracting the same
Yeah.
thing, the same. A woman will leave one man and go marry a next man that treat her the same exact
Same
way,
way.
because this is what she's attracting,
So, yeah. And by the
right?
time them reach 40, them look like 60, battered up
Be-
and
because,
look
and
old and
stress,
stressed
and the
out.
stress that
The
goes with those
stress.
relationship.
Yes.
You get up every single day in a toxic situation, your stress level is gonna be up the roof.
Yes.
You
Yes.
see,
So
and
that's
and
another
and
thing we have to
yes,
think
it
about
comes
the
with a
health
lot of
factors.
stress.
Yeah, especially when
Yes, and
children,
especially when you have children,
yeah,
you
they're
know.
expressing that they're experiencing that stress and don't even know how to handle it yet. Yes.
So we have stressful children growing into stressful adults.
Yep. And get in stressful situations. Sometimes little girls see that, and if they end up in that situation, they say, well, my mama took it. So, they feel that they
Yeah.
have to stay and take
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah.
Or a young man will see their father beating on their mom and stuff, and see that mama stays. So they feel if they beat a woman, she gonna stay. All I have to do is apologize. And,
Listen
so
to me.
yeah.
I have a brother who died at 30 years old because he was beating his wife and she shot him.
Okay. Oh,
And because he saw what my dad did to my mom,
yeah.
right? So he died at 30 years old because his wife, and let me tell you, she didn't shoot him while he was beating her. He was beating on her, and he went into the bathroom, and when he came out, she shot him.
Yeah. Yeah. She was
Because she was
tired.
angry. She was
Yeah,
tired of
she
it.
was
Yeah.
angry and she was tired of it. It's like
And
no more.
I love my brother, but hey, that's what happened. You know?
That's exactly what
And
happens.
my mom was very angry because, that was her first child. But I never forget this. My mom said, maybe if I had a gun, I would have shot his dad too.
Hey, see, it's easier said after the fact, though.
After the fact. Yeah. You know?
Yeah,
But to think that her son got killed and this was her statement,
yeah.
you know,
Domestic violence.
the domestic violence.
It doesn't end with one person. Anytime any one of us subject children to what we're experiencing, they are experiencing it. The only thing is, we probably overstand a little bit more about what we're experiencing, and they're not. So they're going to grow with these emotions, the same way I grew with it. The same anger I grew with. I was tired of seeing it, and I wanted to defend the helpless. Or sometimes I
Yeah.
thought it was a helpless because I mean, anybody's going to sit down and take a beating. To me, your peer helpless,
Yeah.
and you kind of want to do something about it, but we do have to make sure we're paying attention to what we're presenting in front of our children. That energy, it goes into one household to the next, to the next, to the next, and it's repeated through generations.
And it's also emotional abuse to our children.
Yes.
Because here they are. Yes. I used to cry when I see my mother and
Yeah.
my father fighting.
And they didn't have any counselors set up for children.
Oh
They,
no.
they didn't have them
We
for
we
themselves.
we figure it out,
Yeah.
We grow up
It's,
angry, figuring
yeah.
out stuff. You wonder why you shout and you scream at your partner, and these are all the anger that's releasing.
Yes.
'Cause these things stay with you, and um, if we don't get some kind of counseling or some kind of treatment, in other words, we're gonna stay with that for a very long time.
Yeah, or
I
somewhere
tell
to
you.
renew ourselves, just cleanse and heal.
Yes.
Because there are a whole lot of
Right.
resources now, not just facilities and medical resources, but they do have life coaches. They have life coaches
Right.
who can help you through and help you cope with things, help to guide you and give you suggestions, recommendations. And that includes maybe to say, hey, you can do this, consider this twice a week, or, go to this group, this is what they discuss. And just so you know, there are other people out here dealing with it. What I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to pick up the Powerhouse Radio real quick, talk about, subscribing to the Powerhouse Radio. Please do, because every time there's a show that comes on, it will alert you, hit the notification button. But on the Powerhouse Radio, there's a lot of information, a lot of shows that are discussed. Let's talk about even on Wednesday, let's gripe. If you have something to gripe about, you can actually call and talk about it. So if you experience road rage that day, you want to gripe about it without the road rager, pulling out something on you, then you just call into Let's Gripe and go ahead and do it that way and channel your energy into what you're feeling, how you felt when this happened, and then there's a discussion. See, we have to learn how to have a discussion with a resolution with it. Like, just don't have
Yes.
a complaint without what you would do or what you have done. Like, for instance, when I see people very erratic on the road, I let them go. At one point in my
That's
life, I was
right.
blowing horns and all kind of stuff, but I let them go. So
Yes.
get involved with Let's Gripe on a Wednesday night. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 1 hour show. On Thursdays, you have the Kids Way. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. And you see a panel of youths. Okay. And we're not talking about, these are young teenagers and in those type of age. We're talking 13 and those type of 12 and all that, right? So get on, see if it's a show that you would like, get your children involved, see if your children would want to be a guest on their panel, offer some suggestions about what you may want to discuss as children. And you send all of your requests to the powerhouseradio@gmail.com. That is DA powerhouseradio@gmail.com. Any one of the shows you want to be on, identify the show and what suggested topic you would like to discuss or hear about. And if you would like to sit on a panel, you can say, hey, Are you going to be discussing digestive health anytime, Medicare Doctor? Yeah, and I'll let you know that date if you want to be someone on the panel who's experienced some kind of digestive challenge, Crohn's or whatever it may be, whatever the topic may be at that time. Yes, we will have you on the panel so we can discuss it. You can discuss your experience with it. We may just have someone on the line or on the panel that can speak about how they're helping people with these type of difficulties health wise. Also on Thursday evenings is the Reasoning Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got Lady D and Mama Acid on there. It gets real hot too. Sometimes it says 8 to 9 p.m., but sometimes they go till 10 p.m. because the topic is hot. And you got a lot of conversations, a lot of back and forth communication, and people are asking questions and inputting their comments and stuff like that. So Reasoning Thursdays is another one that you may not want to miss, series, right? Then we have on Saturday, Gospel Explosion, I believe is sometime that AM, maybe 10 a.m. or something like that with Brother Blair. Also from 12 to 4, we have Lady D herself, not on YouTube. It's more on her station, the powerhouseradio.com, where you can listen to her music, her dub style. That's from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. If I'm at home, especially if I have things to do and I'm either laundry, whatever the case, whatever I may or may not be doing, if I'm home, I can tune in, I do, right? And so you wanna just kind of listen up because I am Meta. We're here every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Also, following 6 p.m. show, you have the 7 p.m. All About Love. That's with Lady D, Blossom, and Cool G. Right? They'll tune in for that 1 hour and have you grooving, I guarantee. All right. So there we are. There we are. So, life coach Vilma, let us talk about some things. I I experienced feeling of guilt in my life. It really wasn't about the domestic violence thing, but it was more about how we discipline our children. My son gods are 12 and a half years apart. So we're speaking about 12 and a half years of me being one place at a younger age and 12 and a half
Yeah.
years later, I'm more evolved, aware, and all that. So my tactics were really different for both of my children. When one was coming out of high school, one was going into kindergarten. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see the stretch in my life on that part. However, I do remember, and we were speaking about that anger, that when we're angry about a lot of things, we would move it forward. I remember our grandfather used to spank us. He didn't ask
Mm-hmm.
questions, like, or he didn't sit around and explain to us as children, we have to be kind to each other and this and that. Granny did all that. So we knew
Yeah.
kindness and all of that. But there was a situation where he would bring his daughter around, his youngest daughter, who just happened to be my age, his granddaughter's age. And all of the grandchildren, was six of us there, the six at that time with our grandparents. So we knew that our grandfather had three crops. The first crop was the largest crop that included my mother's and all them. Then he had a second crop. Then he had one child after that, that third crop, and she's my age. So we used to tease her because we're children. We didn't really understand anything, but we were like, grandfather's daughter, what?
Yeah.
So we didn't know how to handle it. So we resorted to teasing her. When grandfather got in and she would say, they teased me and da da da, he would just spank us. He never sat
Mm.
us around and spoke to us about how important it is to love each other and be kind to each other, regardless of who we are. If we're sharing the same bloodlines and things like that, even if it's just friends, I think adults should sit us down and reason about it. So, anyway, from those spankings, it's so traditional because we know from whenever spank has been happening for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, it was repeated every generation,
Yeah.
right? So it came to my generation. I had my first son, and I truly feel, and I know even after I start to realize some things, that when we spank and we're angry, it is assault.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you
Yeah.
please never challenge me on it. Don't say, well, spare the rod, or what it said, spare the child.
Spare the
What
rod and spoil a child.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Man-made words, putting stuff in your head
Yeah.
for you to assault your children.
Yeah.
That is something I was guilty about. I felt guilty about because as I became more aware, especially dealing with domestic violence and when I started to work with children in foster care and they experienced all of what they experienced and shared their stories with me, I knew I had to find a different way to view discipline.
Yeah.
My second son, God, he didn't experience anything like my first son, God.
Hmm.
And when when you start to have grandchildren, if your grandmother's out there, the cycle has to stop somewhere.
Right.
The cycle has to stop somewhere. We have to learn how to discipline without hurting someone. Some people like to beat their children and tell them all kind of stuff. Oh, you're just like your mama, you're just like your
Yes.
daddy, and all
Abuse.
the
Yeah.
psychological battery.
Yeah.
It has an effect on us because we're going to turn around and do the same thing. Is that what you want for your generation? Because that's not what I want for my generation. So that is why I chose to be open. I don't have a problem sharing publicly, experiences that I may have had, whatever the forum will call for, if I choose to be part of that. I'm not ashamed to express it or discuss it or to say I've experienced it because there are a lot of people out here who have experienced it and they don't even know where to begin. They don't know what to say. They don't know who to speak with. And I really feel that we really need to assess how we are disciplined. And if you have children that are totally out of control, you keep spanking them and beating them and assaulting them and stuff and think
It's
that's
not
gonna
gonna help.
it's not look, it hardens them.
Yes.
It
Yes.
hardens them. Believe me when I tell you it hardens them. Especially when we witness frustration with parents and guardians and they picking up broomstick and curtain rods, whatever they can get their hands on. That's anger.
Yeah. And you
They're
know what is
stressed
so
and they're angry.
sad?
Hmm.
So sad, Z, is that as in our age, we experience it at home and at school because I used to go to Catholic school, and those nuns, when they buy the cane, they had the cane. They call it, the long cane, and they
Yes.
would with a curl, the handle curled, and they used to soak it in water before they used the brand new cane. They would put it in the cesspit and soak it. And the reason why they do that is so when they hit us, the cane didn't break.
Hmm.
So when they soak the cane, it makes it more flexible, right?
Yes.
And if you ever get a beating from one of those nun, you got a beating. All right.
Yeah.
Now imagine being beaten by the nun, then you come home and you tell your parents that you got beaten by the nun and they want to know why. Okay, you did something as a child, what children do. And your mother turn around and beat you again.
I'd beat you again.
Yeah.
We have to stop
I've
assaulting.
experienced that because
Yeah.
I was like a little chatterbox.
Yeah.
And the nun beat the hell out of me. And then I went home and I told my mom, and she was like, "So why did you get beaten?" Well, because the teacher said I was talking, and she beat me again. So you know better not to talk in school.
You
So you
see how
think about it.
Yeah, you see how it's to me that's a threat. When they say you want somebody's whip, to me you're threatening me. See, we didn't see it then, but I sure see it now because I did grow up
Yeah,
in that time when they call it flogging. They were
yeah,
still
yeah.
flogging you in
And that's
school.
exactly what it was,
Yeah.
flogging.
And I
Yeah,
know I was a young girl and all, but I try to stay out of the flog's way because I just look at it as you're not going to hit me because I might go get a rock or something and throw it, right? And I wasn't an angry child at all. I mean, anyone in from Guyana in the 60s and 70s know that Guyana had a baby contest. Carnation Milk, the
hmm,
company Carnation, used to do baby contests in Guyana. I remember my mom, she always told me the story when she entered me, she was really scared because I only had hair on the top of my head and I didn't really have any
Hmm.
around the sides as yet. It's not like I had hair and lost it. It's just that I didn't grow any. It was just so
Right, right.
deep.
Like most babies, a lot of
Right,
babies
right.
are
So
like that.
she,
Right.
yeah, she would bow up the top, whatever little curl it had, right? And when she see the other babies, they would be like of Indian, East Indian descent, or
Right.
that Portuguese, or that mix of that. And they say some have full head of hair and more straighty and
Yeah.
curly with all the bows and stuff. And she thought that, oh man, they might win, until they called my name. I mean, that gave her courage because she entered me in several more. All right. So
Hmm.
I did win a few of the baby contests there, if not first place, second or third. I was always in one of those arenas. Now,
Right.
one of the things the judges made a valid point about, I was a happy baby. I engaged. I was goo goo and gaga and laughing and having conversation with these judges and didn't even know how to talk yet. I mean, I think I was talking, but in my
Yeah.
language, right? I was more engaging, want to crawl and go sit down in front of them and laugh and talk when the other babies were crying for their mommies, right? So they said, this is a happy baby. And I think throughout all of the contests that I was involved in, that was one of the points they always made. So I am a happy baby. And especially as a young girl, hearing all of that, knowing all of that, I connected with that core of happiness and that, peace and that joy. So when I got older, anything that shifts me off of that, I quickly try to draw myself back in to that core that I know that makes me feel good. That's one thing I was able to do to start to clear energies. I started to reconnect with my core, right?
Hmm.
Reconnect with my core. So it was very valid for me to do it because I knew what I felt in my core from birth and I wanted that joy. And that's what I connect with. Right now, I'm telling you, I'm bursting with joy, bursting with happiness, bursting with
Yeah.
smiles. I'm always smiling. I'm just trying to always just be more positive than negative, if at all possible.
Right.
So if I feel like I'm a little negative about something, I sit and assess myself and handle that because I don't want to take it into days and weeks and months and years.
Right.
I don't want that to
Yeah.
grow. I don't want that to manifest. What I want to manifest is what's positive. So a lot of things when it comes to guilt, I knew I did feel guilty about how I disciplined my son because I didn't know better. I feel like I didn't know. I'm not making excuses because
We
I can,
didn't.
yeah, I
We
can speak
didn't.
about it. Yeah, I can
We
speak about
didn't.
it. I'm not hiding it. I'm
Right.
letting
And
you
I
know
did
that.
the same too because
Yeah,
especially my first child, Marcus, he got the most whipping than anyone else.
yeah,
And most of the time I did it out of anger
yeah,
because of my situation at the time.
yeah,
Like as soon as I got home from work, his grandmother would be, Marcus, da, 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 da," complaining of all the little things that kids do. And what I would do is I'd grab him and whip him because I didn't want to hear her complain about him. Now I know that like you say, I felt guilty about it for a very long time. He was a very
mhm,
active child, and he
yeah.
used to like to go outside and play with the other kids. And as soon as I got home, she would be complaining to me about it. And what I did, I grabbed him and I whipped him.
But and that's what she expected you to do
And that's what she expected me to do. But
because that's what they did.
yeah, and the
Yes.
thing about it is, I didn't, honest to God, didn't want to, but I was
Yeah.
angry. So, and that
Yeah.
she's, as soon as I step inside, she's complaining to me. And
Yeah.
that thing bothered me for a long time too, like you say. But, like, the good thing is, identifying what the
Yeah.
source of the guilt is.
Yes.
Because if you can't identify the guilt, then you can't work on it. And then
Right.
forgive yourself.
Yes.
Because we have to forgive ourselves to say that
Self compassion, dear.
we
We got to do
we
it. We
did
got to have
what
it for
we
ourselves.
did the best we could
Yeah.
with our situation.
Yeah.
So the most we can do when we find ourselves in that state, because
Yes.
it's a state, is to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't know how to, because we were never taught how to. So
Yes.
we stay in a state of guilt and shame.
Right.
And
Yes.
what it does is it lowers your plane
Yes.
and causes anxiety, which in turn causes illnesses, whether we believe it or not. If you stay in a state of guilt and shame all the time, your plane lowers.
Yeah, it's going to lower our frequency
Yeah,
altogether.
your frequency
Yeah,
is
yeah.
off, and then you keep
Oh,
doing things that keep adding to the guilt and the shame.
yes,
But
yes,
once you can identify, and it's called being curious,
yes,
curious about your feelings. What is making me feel this way? Identify what is making you feel that way.
yes.
When you identify it, then I tell all my clients that I work with, the first thing, even if you're trying to gain weight, I mean lose weight. Some people try to gain weight, but most try to lose weight. And I said to them, don't worry about losing the weight. Be curious about why you're feeling this way. What's causing you to get up at night and eat? What's causing you to reach for the sweetest thing what causes you when
Yeah,
you go to the store, you want to pick the things that are unhealthy for you? Unless you identify what the source is, you're not gonna, even if you lose the weight, you're gonna gain it again,
yeah,
because it's patterned behavior.
yes,
So it's the same thing when you're suffering from guilt and shame. What is causing me to feel this way? What are the old feelings that keep regurgitating in me
yes.
why I'm feeling like this? Because if you just go on like a zombie, just feeling like this and just reacting to the
And have no
behavior,
aim, right?
uh, where it
You're going to be
stop?
just
Where does it
complacent.
stop? Where does
Yeah,
it stop?
yeah,
So we have to be curious about our feelings, because all these things are negative emotions.
yes,
Guilt, shame, anger,
yes.
negative emotions.
You know,
And
at one point, go ahead.
in order to release them, we're going to have to replace them with
Yes,
positive feelings. So
yes.
that's what
I
it
remember
is.
at one point, I was even thinking, I was like, man, you know, would he be better off with his father than me? Like, how can I do this? How can I discipline him in this way? And then I started to look back at how we were disciplined
Hmm.
by our moms, by our um, grandparents,
By the
and
neighbor,
yeah,
even the
because they can
neighbor.
spank us too. You're growing up in a
Everybody,
school where they can
we were
spank us. It was
we were
all
fair
around.
game, fair game. Everybody could lay
And you
hands
think
on
this is
us.
normal. And then I really looked at it and I said, no, I can't do this anymore. I remember Akil said to me, my eldest son said to me one day, he said, why are you being so mean to me? And that's when I said, wow.
Hmm.
And I started to search myself and found that I was only repeating what generations
Yeah,
had done before me. And
yeah,
I said, I have to change this way about what I'm doing. It took a while because I had to get
yeah,
rid of a lot of things, not just saying I'm not going to spank my children. I had to find ways on how to discipline, alternative to spanking,
yeah.
alternative to getting that whip, alternative to that punch, just it's
Hmm.
like we repeat behaviors that we've experienced. So now, these are things to identify and start to clear them out, or you'll be abusing your children all the way around and they're going to end up abusing
Yeah.
your children. You're going
Oh
to be
yeah.
you're going to be whipping your grandchildren and all kind of
Yeah, but
stuff.
this funny thing is, by the time we get to the grandchildren, we totally change and we start
Totally.
spoiling them.
Well, I know grandfather didn't, but granny was more softer. She was the
Yeah,
nurturer. She more had our back. She was trying to save us sometimes, you know. But I do know she
yeah,
did discipline us. It was just so much. It didn't hurt like that. It wasn't out of anger. It wasn't out of
yeah.
reaction.
Most of the time, the grandmothers are sweet.
Yeah,
Most of the time. You
and they
had
be
some
trying to
mean
calm down
ones.
the
You had
granddad.
some mean ones, but most of the time,
Yeah,
they're
because
usually the
I
sweet
know some
ones.
mean grandmothers. I
Yeah,
surely
you
do.
know.
And I
Because
witnessed.
they're angry women too. Who knows what they
Yeah,
went through? You
that's what I'm
know?
saying. We got to, like you said, we got to peel back these layers. It's so much in
Yeah,
there. When you think you're
yeah.
just experiencing one thing, you're not. You're actually experiencing multiple things, but you just haven't uncovered it yet.
Right. You know.
Right?
So at this point, we're doing good,
Yeah.
honestly. You
I
know,
mean,
because
hey, we're grandmothers
we're
now.
identified.
We are now teaching our grandchildren things. We're now helping other women and men to make better decisions. Be more discerning when we're
Yeah.
doing things in life, choosing partners, raising children, whatever it is. Discipline. There's a lot of shame and guilt out there, even when they have men and women, especially men who have been raped.
Oh,
They don't talk
that's
about it.
another whole nother topic.
They don't
You
talk
know.
about it. They
Hmm.
feel it makes them look weak. They don't talk about it and they keep it inside. But
Yeah,
then they'll exhibit
that's a
it in
big shame
behaviors.
for them.
Yeah,
Big
they'll exhibit
shame.
it in behaviors, or it will manifest into ailments.
Oh, and it manifests in some serious behavior.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
It could be
Yeah,
mental,
serious
physical, or
behavior.
spiritual, but it will manifest.
Yeah.
It will
And like all of
manifest.
us too, if we are not, if we don't become aware of what's going on with us, it manifests itself
Yes,
into,
it does.
into even future behavior.
Yes.
And this is one thing that being a life coach and went through all my coaching training has taught me is to just identify with what's going on in my life and address it,
Yeah.
each layer, address it one by one and work on it and learn to forgive myself
Yeah. I
for things that
remember.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I remember like you and us, you and I, we're goddess sisters for so long. Our children were, my 32-year-old was probably two, so it's been about 30 years. And I know I've reached out to you when I was having some difficulties,
Hmm.
and you were always like my big sister, always giving me sound advice, always. And I would always sit and think about what you said, and it really would help me through my situation. I didn't have to get angry. I didn't have
Hmm.
to, you know, act in any kind of negative way. I just had to be accepting of things. And if I made up my mind, I had to commit to it. No
Yeah.
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? So
Right.
I remember when you said, when you make up your mind, you'll have to stick with it, because when you put your request in the universe and it
Yeah.
happens, don't be surprised when it happens. It may not happen
Right.
when you're asking. It may be a year from now, but when it happens, don't be like, what
Oh, the
happened? No.
universe listens.
Yeah,
And this is why we have to be careful of our words.
yep.
Because anything you ask the universe, it thinks it only thinks in positive.
Yes.
So even if you're constantly repeating negative words, the universe take it as something that you're requesting. I
Yeah.
tell my kids this all the time.
Yeah.
Stop saying, I'm broke. This killing me. Words like that, because
Yeah, especially when they say my back
the
a kill me,
universe is
my knee a kill
listening.
me, my foot a kill me, my head a, it's like, stop claiming this stuff.
And keep
Find
and no,
different
no,
words to find it.
I'm broke. No, you're not broke.
Yeah.
You know, you might
Some
not.
people, some people say that they're even broken. I said, no, you're not.
Yes. So the things that we talk every day, the universe is listening, and then you get more of what you ask for because you keep
Yes.
repeating it. The
Keep
universe is
repeating
going
it.
to answer.
Yep.
I tell my kids every day, I said, the universe answers.
So I put it in the universe, the positiveness,
And
right?
see, somebody said temporarily low on cash. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what you
Instead of
say.
saying
Stop
broke,
balling
that's
broke.
right.
Let me tell you, you have people who have money on them, and because they don't want anyone to know they have money. I know one person. Every time oh, I'm broke. And nobody's gonna beg you anything. Stop saying you're broke. You know.
They have people who have money and they still not rich.
Well,
Like
they're not
everything else in their
spiritually
life
rich,
is so
so
shattered that
yeah.
the money don't even matter because it's shattered. I know we're going to be wrapping this up in 3 minutes. So any 1 minute last word for our viewers, my goddess sister, big sister, life coach Vilma.
A positive attitude goes a long way. And if we can just reframe some of the things we say and the thoughts we have, reframing is a biggie. That's my biggest zest in life is to reframe, because when you, and this is what I teach my clients, reframe the thoughts you have. If you have a negative thought, reframe it, flip it over,
Yes.
and think of something positive,
Yes.
because that positive thought will get you through anything. You don't have to always have the solution to the problem, but the thought, if you just change the thought to something positive, you'd be surprised to know how it makes what you're going through just a little bit easier,
Easier.
you
Yeah.
know.
And like you said, the thought, and I say to people, your perception, our perception makes a big difference. And I always repeat this: our brain and our mind are two different things, right? So
Yes.
we can create illusions in our mind, how we hope things to be or want things to be, and it not necessarily be that way. But I do want to say, especially to that young audience, if you're going to look at this or if you're going to channel to someone, speak to someone about your situation. If you're in
Oh
it, especially
yeah.
if you're young, do not stick around. Your life, it's just not it's not healthy. Find a way to get out, find some help. Send us an email,
Yeah.
thepowerhouseradio@gmail.com.
Talk
Let us
about
know
it.
if
Talk
you're in a
about
situation
it.
that need help. We will channel you some information on those who can help you.
Yeah.
All right. So we do have a minute to say to our viewers, thank you. Thank you once again for viewing our show today. This is I Am Meta Health and Wellness, Spirit, Mind, and Body. Thank you. Peace, love, and light.
Namaste.
Stay tuned for All About Love.